All right, we should be live. And
okay. Is there a YouTube link?
The YouTube link is here.
All right.
All right.
Oh, look at that.
When I click on the link preview, it shows our beautiful faces.
It shows our beautiful faces.
Live to the internet.
Yes. Boom.
Nice.
All right, cool.
All right.
Okay.
So Taariq, you're the traditional master of ceremonies. You want to master some ceremonies?
Oh, I get to promote. I love promoting stuff. Let me promote, because I like to emote. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And we hope you weren't waiting too long. You all look very beautiful and amazing this Thursday afternoon, 11 a.m. Pacific time. This event is our presentation on UP-101. The first DAO in the UniFi DAO, UP-101, as you know, is our first proposal for a UniFi DAO focused on delivering Peggy to the CosmosHub. And I hope that everyone here has some atoms in their pocket because we want to see the atom number go up. And Peggy is one of the ways we're going to do that. Joining me today is our Peggy JV team, consisting of Althea and Justin and Deborah, and as well as Zaki from Iqlusion. And what we're going to talk about today is all the high-level stuff. We're going to talk about what is Peggy, how's it working. We have a list of questions we're going to rock through, and we invite you to join us in the chat and share your questions as well. And we'll try to get to those. So
with that, YouTube chat?
Yeah, YouTube chat. Yes.
Are you monitoring that? Okay, I'm not monitoring it.
Okay, I can do that. All right, cool. Or you can post your questions in our Telegram. All right, so if you don't know our Telegram, we are currently sitting at our Telegram is called. Yep. If you can add the link, that'd be awesome. UniFi Cosmos, UNIFI Cosmos. And you want to join UniFi Cosmos because there are going to be more proposals coming, more funding opportunities, and more excitement. So good stuff. All right, with that, we're ready to go?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, let's get started. My friends, start introductions. Who are you and how did you get into crypto?
Do you want to go first, Deborah?
Or Deborah, absolutely.
Sure. So my story starts many moons ago. In the beginning of Bitcoin, we mined Bitcoin with GPU miners and with a computer set up in the baby's bedroom. Kept it a nice even temp and a pleasant whirring sound with all the fans. We didn't really make a lot of money that way, but saved on the electrical bill, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, so that's kind of where we started, is with early GPU type mining, and saw the promise of decentralized systems in a greater scope, and went on from there.
So I was in high school when Bitcoin really became a thing, and I was really interested in Linux and open source software in general. And I saw Bitcoin, I read the white paper. I had some understanding of cryptography thanks to, Tor, sort of an early interest in cryptography in general. And I'm like, this thing's really cool. And what we need to build with this is a better way to pay for internet service. I made that connection in approximately like 6 to 8 weeks. And I've been sort of dreaming of building Althea ever since. Fortunately, just a few years ago, I actually got the opportunity. And now it's no longer in my head, but out in the world. Thanks to a lot of help from Deborah and Deborah and Jahan, our other co-founder.
All right. Where's Zaki? Did he jump off?
I closed the tab.
Everybody closes the tab.
Okay, go.
Yeah, I have too many tabs, and many of them are streams, and it's very confusing. All right, Zaki, I think a lot of people have heard my story on a number of different forums, but yeah, I got intrigued by cryptocurrencies and learning about cryptography in about 2013. I've been doing a bunch of different things in the cryptocurrency space. I've been very involved in the Cosmos project. And honestly, like the thing that really excites me about, I got involved in Cosmos. So I got involved in Cosmos early because I was friends with Ethan and Jay. They actually met each other at an event that one of my previous startups organized, and Jay presented Cosmos there, and Vitalik was I think one of the places where Vitalik started to get excited about proof of stake. This was all in the ancient times of 2015, 1,000 years ago. But one of the things that brought me to Cosmos was, the technology was mature enough to really do the really unique go-to-market of building up the validator community, building up a community, launching the network. And that was something I was really excited about in 2018. 2019 was, the grind of having the network be live, dealing with the live network. And now we're in 2020, and, the Cosmos project has funded a lot of really important research and development, everything from IBC to Peggy, staking derivatives I talked about in my Interchain conference talk in July. And I'm very excited to just sort of start doing the same, repeating, coming up with innovative ways of going to market and bringing decentralized technologies to the world that I started in 2018.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about Peggy then. What is Peggy, and how did you all get interested in this particular area of Cosmos technology?
Well, so Peggy is an Ethereum to Cosmos bridge, and it's particularly named because it's named Peggy because you have a peg zone, which is essentially a zone with assets that are pegged to the value of assets on ETH by virtue of having a bridge that moves assets back and forth and makes and sort of generates, let's say, a synthetic version of the asset over on Cosmos that can then be burned and released on Ethereum, or vice versa, where you generate a synthetic version of a Cosmos asset on Ethereum. Now, this has been something that's been a part of the sort of Cosmos ecosystem for a long, so it's been something that's been a part of the conceptualization of Cosmos from the beginning. It's in the original white paper, mentioned the possibility of a bridge to Ethereum and how it would be useful, especially given that Cosmos' sort of premise is that you want interoperability in blockchains, and interoperability is better. Well, at Althea, we really believe in interoperability, and we sort of we have need of Peggy to make our plan for an interoperable Althea zone work. So, as for how did I get involved, at a certain point, I think it was 6 months ago or something like that, we decided that we had been waiting too long for a production version of Peggy and that we would just make it ourselves. And that we would go and finish it ourselves, because we're, no time to wait. Of course, fortunately for us, it ended up being, how should I put, bumped up the priority queue by a few entries recently.
Awesome. And I guess, if when we think about where you were in development, and then where you were when you were introduced to UniFi DAO, and the UP-101 proposal, what would you say was the impact, or how were things different? I mean, I think you guys had a timeline before, and now with support from the UniFi DAO, you have a new timeline. What could you describe? What does that look like?
Well, the timeline before was pretty much was to try and get a sort of very minimal proof of concept out in somewhere in the 3 to 6 month range. We weren't really too concerned about the date, because you have to remember, when we made these plans, yield farming wasn't a thing. Peggy wasn't around, and there was no, so how should I put it? there were no plans that involved Peggy being available soon. And we were just kind of going to, and nobody, people had interest in a peg zone, but it wasn't a need. People didn't want Peggy yesterday at that time. So, we were thinking 3 to 6 months whenever we got around to it, and we'd build a version that bridged one hard-coded ERC20, which is enough to get DAI to and from the Althea zone. And that would be our launch version for the Althea zone. And that would be it. So our goals have changed quite a bit. Now I want to have that version ready by the end of this month, and I want to have a bidirectional version ready. And I want to have a multiple ERC20 version ready by, I want it ready by the end of the year, hopefully even deployed by then. And that's a very aggressive timeline, but it's doable in large part because when we sat down and tried to build an improved design for Peggy, we said, well, clearly this is hard. Several teams have tried. Several teams have done valuable research, but they haven't gotten to production. So clearly the theory isn't necessarily the hardest part. It's getting the coordination, getting it to all actually work together. So we said, we're going to accept a less advanced bridge in exchange for a bridge that's easier to build and faster to deliver. And this happened to put us in a very good spot for the upcoming sort of yield farming craze, because now we are in a position where, with sufficient extra funding to be provided by UniFi DAO, we will be able to accelerate this timeline dramatically, because we already have a simple design. We already did the design work. And it's just a matter of, dealing with all the little details in between us and there.
Got it. I noticed that there are 2 branches in the GitHub repo for Peggy, a master branch, and then the Althea branch. How would you define or describe the differences between those 2 branches, and will the Althea branch be merged into master?
So I'll start by answering the second question first, and the answer is yes. The Althea branch will eventually be part of master. But to explain the difference is that Althea Peggy and the current GitHub Cosmos Peggy master branch have different security levels. You see the Cosmos white paper outlines the concept of a peg zone, which is a zone, its own independent zone, which exists for the purpose of pegging Ethereum assets. And the idea is that you would have a peg zone, and the validators on that peg zone would manage a bridge, and then IBC would be used to send the synthetic Ethereum assets that were placed into the bridge wherever they needed to go, or vice versa. You would send your atom over IBC to the peg zone, which would then make it a synthetic Ethereum asset. So the issue with the peg zone is twofold. So the issue with having a Peggy zone independent of other zones is 2 things. 1, IBC is still not quite ready, and 2, there's actually a fundamental problem when you send funds to so if you have that zone managing an Ethereum contract, which actually holds the Ethereum funds, and you send it money, that zone has the money. And if it's a small zone with no native staking token value, it's very easy for the staking token to be worth less than the amount of money in the bridge, especially if this peg zone is supposed to service the entire IBC ecosystem. And this opens up a unsolved, it's essentially still a research problem of cross-chain governance. How do you have people in this peg zone maybe stake on the hub and then get slashed on the hub for misbehavior on the peg zone? And this is what is being worked on in master. And this design would require IBC, because you need IBC to make a peg zone useful, because there's nothing on the peg zone. You have to have IBC to get to anywhere else in Cosmos. And so yes, the current master branch of this repo is doing a lot of this research, solving a lot of these complicated problems, thinking about cross-chain governance. But at the same time, it's not working on really foundational stuff. So while Peggy Master has more advanced functionality in terms of, like staking for relayers and stuff like that, Althea Peggy has a working and highly efficient Ethereum contract, which is something that is understood how to write. There's nothing theoretical about it. It's just work that needs to get done. And that's what we're doing. So we came out and conceived of a different design that sort of takes the complicated parts of Peggy and says, we'll do those later, and takes the parts of Peggy and the type of bridge we can implement now and says, okay, we're going to build that. We're going to release it today, and it's not going to be perfect, but it is going to work, and it's going to work soon. And so that is the difference between Althea Peggy and Peggy Master.
So I just want to quickly jump in on this and talk about, so this is something that I think generally in the cryptocurrency space and we, in the Cosmos ecosystem, I want to start like kind of defining more of a fine line on. Some of the work we do is research. And we've been, one of the things that we did with the ICF funding that went to the Peggy project sort of in the past, we focused on sort of trying to understand the design space, get some software artifacts that do it. But like another unique thing about the way we've built Cosmos is that along the way of building Cosmos, we always made sure that we had a shippable we had like a near-term shippable product along the way. So, Tendermint was first like sort of in beta use in 2015. So almost 5 years ago, and Tendermint has improved. The research effort that went into Tendermint has constantly been sort of, reabsorbed back into Tendermint. We released the Cosmos K at sort of the big, 2018. We got the Cosmos Hub on mainnet, but no IBC. We did Game of Zones, which kind of was an important sort of product milestone in terms of IBC. We have IBC now. What I'm trying to work with the Althea people and why, I think both on the ICF side, Billy and Sam and me personally have gotten excited about working with Althea is that we're bringing that same like approach and attitude now to Peggy, where we're not talking about just research. All of the research ideas are important. Every single piece of those research ideas, and I love working on research. The thing to do is to start getting a shippable product that can be shipped to validator sets, and validator sets can get used to and learn to use, that economic activity can flow over, so that we start also understanding what has product market fit, what doesn't have product market fit. And I think it's become pretty clear just seeing the rise of synthetic assets on Ethereum from Bitcoin that there are a variety of security models that the market will accept. And so we should go for that, and we should get a thing shipped this as soon after Stargate as possible.
Well said.
All right. Well, so then the question is, Zaki, do you believe this Peggy project has the potential to raise and make number go up for Atom holders? This is the question. After all this effort, will this have an impact?
What the missing piece has been a little bit in like the marketing of Peggy, which I'm going to give full credit. The Althea team is the one who kind of first raised this, though it had been floating around in discussions that I've been having with various people. But like, so what Yearn is, which is basically a governance token for a vault on Ethereum. Well, you know what Peggy turns any Cosmos chain and the Cosmos Hub and Atoms into is a governance token for vaults on Ethereum. And that is that's been the missing piece. And it's a vault management contract where most of the coordination can happen on the Cosmos side, so you're not paying, $40 in gas every time you want to have a vote. So this is if there's like a very simple number go up narrative here, which is Like we are turning this into a vault contract for Ethereum. The CosmosHub can't when you start conceiving Peggy as a product, it's not just the this is like a simple piece of infrastructure. It's like, look, this bridge exists. There's 1,000 bridges like it. When you start conceiving it as a product, it's a trade route. It is a decentralized financial institution. It has an enormous amount of potential to be extended by the governance and like innovated upon by Cosmos governance. And we really should be exploring that. And that's a big part of the energy here.
All right, well, okay, since we're exploring that, let's talk about gas prices. How can we explore that when gas prices are ridiculous, 150 gwei and moving up? I mean, doesn't that make it harder?
Taariq?
Yeah.
Taariq, I have bad news for you.
No.
It's 600
gwei.
It's 600.
Ladies and gentlemen, 600 gwei. Okay, I mean, that sounds...
Please mute yourself before screaming in horror.
That sounds as big a barrier to leaving Ethereum as ever. I mean, how does Peggy fit into this crazy 600 gwei world?
Well, so fortunately, so first I have to give some context here. So long ago, in a galaxy far away, Althea was wondering how we would implement sort of our core router-to-router payments. And, you know, if you don't know, Althea writes software that allows home Wi-Fi routers to autonomously pay each other for bandwidth using blockchain technology. That's what we do. That's our primary business. And it's a problem, namely to deal with existing blockchains in terms of throughput. So for a long time, we were thinking that we were going to use payment channels on Ethereum, and we did a lot of work on gas optimization. We did a lot of work on theory there, and we wrote what is to this day probably the most efficient peer-to-peer channel implementation for payment channels. But you can't use peer-to-peer payment channels. You need a channel hub. Otherwise, you end up with problems, especially like who to connect to. It becomes very complicated very quickly to actually use payment channels practically. And you need to have a channel hub to make it practical. And if you have a channel hub, well, then the hub has some censorship power. And at that point, we're like, okay, it's better to have a proof-of-stake validator set. And that's when we sort of switched our plans from payment channels on Ethereum to having our own proof-of-stake blockchain and the sovereignty that Cosmos provided. But when we finally came back to revisit this problem, and we're like, okay, we need Peggy. Clearly, we're going to have to be the ones to build it. So let's do it. We sat down, and Jahan and I put our heads together and worked out a highly optimized bridge. In fact, I believe that it is probably the most efficient multi-sig or weighted powers multi-sig available right now. And our original target was that at 10 gwei, it would cost 25 cents to update the validator set and cost 25 cents to send a batch of transactions from Cosmos to Ethereum. And for the most part, we've borne that out. Our current contract costs about that much if your gas price was 10 gwei. Unfortunately, it's not 10 gwei. So we are looking at, on the order of $10 or so to update the validator set. But that's still not unacceptable. You only need to update the validator set when it changes significantly. So you can only do that once every couple of days because looking at the CosmosHub as an example, you don't need to do it that often. But the real advantage we did is that we decided to batch withdrawals from the bridge. And batching is where you get your economies of scale. So if you have a validator set, the size of the CosmosHub validator set, we actually use the CosmosHub validator set for testing. So all these numbers are the CosmosHub validator set as of 2 months ago. Just to be very clear, this is 125 validators. This is no dinky 3 validator multi-sig here. If you send a batch, you end up spending only about 25% of your cost is sending it across the bridge. And frankly, I'm being conservative there. I think we may be able to get it down to the bridge cost 6.5% of the Ethereum, of the cost of sending your ERC20 transaction by doing a batch of 200 transactions that's highly optimized. And yeah, that ERC20 transfer may cost you a lot of money because of gas. I think they're like $5, $6 right now. But you will only be paying 20 cents for the bridge. So it is as practical. So long story short, the gas fees for the Peggy contract are more practical than the gas fees for Ethereum. And I have some exciting stuff to talk about later about how we can use Peggy to, in fact, make the entire Ethereum blockchain more gas efficient.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. So, well, let's jump into the next question about, now that we have an opportunity for making things, compelling value proposition in terms of affordability, a lot of people are asking about security. Okay, we want to put or make the CosmosHub, one of the first peg zones, right? We need to make a proposal to the CosmosHub to upgrade the software to take this on. What is the security model that this implementation of Peggy is going to bring or have the CosmosHub consider? And are there any concerns we should be worried about, and how we're going to address those?
So the security model for Althea Peggy is as simple as we could possibly get it, which is that it trusts the validators. And by that I mean that the Ethereum contract, to do anything, whether that's to send funds, to change the validator set, et cetera, requires signatures from 66% of the Cosmos validator set. So that means that, if you have 66% of the validators colluding, they can steal funds from the bridge, just the same way that they could print more tokens over on the Cosmos side. And we wanted to do this so that we could line up the trust assumptions with Tendermint itself. If Tendermint halts, the Peggy bridge halts. If Tendermint fails, then if Tendermint allows printing tokens, then the Peggy bridge allows for stealing the funds in the bridge. And this makes it simple to think about. And it does introduce a well-understood problem. That is that if you have more money in the bridge than you have value in your native staking token, you have a problem. And this is why we want Peggy on the hub. It not only has the largest and most trusted validator set, it also has the largest staking token value, which means Peggy on the hub can store more value than Peggy on any other chain in Cosmos. So this is sort of a good pairing, and it makes it work well. Now, in terms of things that you have to worry about, once again, the concern you need to have is very simple and right in front of you, and that is that the validators are going to need to maintain a ETH Lite client or an ETH full node that they trust. And if enough of them fail to do that, there will be problems. Otherwise, everything will work fine. And this is the sort of design we like, in that it's robust, it's practical. The problems are right in front of you. Our goal is to take things that could be sneaky problems, things that could be like long-term vulnerabilities or like subtle attacks that you could chain together, and replace them with a simple problem that you can look at, because those are less likely to end up actually being violated. If there's a simple trust assumption everybody understands, then it is easier to manage than a more advanced and potentially more flexible, but also more brittle implementation.
Zaki, you're a validator on Cosmos. Can we handle it? Are we ready for this?
Yeah. So actually, Iqlusion has been doing a bunch of work here that I think is relevant. So pretty much the entire much of the Cosmos validator set, they all manage keys and run their validators through the KMS that Iqlusion built for the Cosmos launch and has been maintaining. And one of the things that we've been wanting to do is get more sort of Oracle functionality, both supporting, Terra and band oracles, and Ethereum functionality. So one of the features that actually comes out of a lot of really great work that Tony has been doing on getting SecP support in Rust and being able to do Ethereum signatures from the UBHSM, it is going to allow us every Tendermint validator who runs the KMS to seamlessly support signing on the Ethereum side of the Peggy bridge. And I think, again, like when you think about these things as products rather than research problems, this is really what kind of comes down to where the rubber meets the road. Like, how do you make it so that a validator can actually participate in the Peggy system without really changing their sort of total cost of operations?
Awesome. So validators have a reason to vote yes on the upcoming proposal to upgrade Peggy to the hub. Is that
Yep.
what you're saying? Awesome. All right. I think we closed that vote. Okay. Now let's talk about exciting future. Okay. What do you think is the coolest first application that you would want to sort of launch on the Cosmos Hub with Peggy? Like any like this would be really cool. One application.
Well, so okay, I got to answer the obvious answer, which is that hi, we're Althea. We need to get money to our routers. We're going to do that. And we're going to be happy that that's finally ready. But after that,
well, there's also some cool stuff that we can do now with DeFi.
Yes. Well, that's what I wanted to get to.
So,
so we have, the big question is, even if we provide a better DeFi platform over on Cosmos, how do we get people to go to it? And this is an idea, this is an idea that I've had recently, and I want to release a blog post about pretty soon that I'm going to call, transparent bridge operations. And the idea is you deploy a contract on Ethereum, looks exactly like the Yearn Finance contract, looks exactly like any of these existing contracts. It provides the same external interface, except instead of having any Solidity code, when you call one of these functions, it just emits an event. Now, you call one of these functions, it sends your money to the Peggy bridge and emits an event. Then over on the hub, all the hub validators are watching this Cosmos Earn contract, watching this Cosmos Earn contract on Ethereum. The money comes across the bridge, and they manage the actual functionality of the DeFi investment and additional contract calls, et cetera, maybe it's a DEX, et cetera, over on Cosmos itself. And what this does is it means that you can have somebody use DeFi on Cosmos without even having a Cosmos address or even knowing that it is Cosmos. They're just making calls to an Ethereum contract, and you're performing DeFi operations cheaper. Instead of paying $40 in gas, you pay the cost of one transfer to call the transparent function call. The funds go over to Cosmos, and then the validators manage running them through a DEX, doing your multiple DEX call over on the Cosmos end. It's essentially a portal to the Cosmos DeFi ecosystem that is so compatible with Ethereum, you may forget that you're not on Ethereum.
That was an amazing pitch.
So you mean so we can give people we can give devs and their users happiness without them even feeling stressed that they're not on Ethereum. It will be as if you were on Ethereum, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It just works.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. And someday when they stop want to pay, now of course we can take their $100 gas transaction and turn it into a single transfer cost. So it can be like, $2, your normal ETH transfer cost to do the contract call. And so they're paying a lot less gas already. But once they're in the ecosystem, they can continue calling functions on this contract, and it keeps sending messages over and doing whatever, infinite numbers of things within the ecosystem over on the other side of the bridge. And then finally, when these people are tired of spending their $2 to $5 to send a transaction to tell the bridge to do something, they can just start sending messages over on the Cosmos side and save all of that money. What this solves is the on-ramp problem and provides a compatibility layer where you can write an Ethereum contract on Ethereum that in the Ethereum contract sends money over the bridge and then potentially even over IBC to do anything you can do in Cosmos, and then comes back. So that layer of developer compatibility means that we don't have to worry about, well, do all these people have Cosmos wallets? That's not a problem. Do all these people want to interact with Cosmos? Or like, do they want to learn how to use a new wallet, how to get a new token, how to go somewhere? No, they don't need to know that. I mean, why would they need to know that? Because with well-designed software, you can just do it.
That sounds like a vampire chain attack. I don't know where I got that term from, but it sounds very vampire-ish. All right, let's talk now about Peggy JV. Okay, so it seems like, you know, you're getting funding from UniFi and the community here, and I still can't believe we actually do that. We'll talk about that last. And then there's, you know, this thing called Peggy JV. Okay, so folks in UniFi DAO and Cosmos want to know, what's Peggy JV? Who's running it? What's the story here? Zaki.
Yo, okay. So Peggy JV is a new company, so, you know, Delaware C Corp, that we are adding bells and whistles to. But we have a basic, like, so we've already seen like a lot of the way in which DeFi, other ideas get productized in Cosmos is, you know, we write a lot of open source software, and then someone takes that open source software, does an IEO, or, you know, sells a bunch of SAFs, launches a new chain, and goes up and goes after it that way. And what honestly I don't like about this is, while this kind of Darwinian competition and greed does have some positive like network effects for Cosmos, it potentially also has this like exclusionary property that I don't really like, where it basically incentivizes everybody who's not on the inside of that group to kind of immediately go fork the code, fork the ideas, make their own, and sort of, and we're seeing this on Ethereum as part of the DeFi craze. We've seen variants of this in Cosmos for a while because all of our code has been open source from the beginning. You know, hundreds of millions of dollars of ICOs on like various forks of the Cosmos stack, and so I want to build an example to change that. And so, you know, this is a company. It's you know, the startup costs have been paid by me. The Iqlusion team is working on it and is, you know, going to be incentivized with a big equity stake in it. The Althea team is working on it. But this also gives us the ability to like put together a team that is like specifically incentive aligned to deliver Peggy and the Peggy vision, and the vision that goes beyond the initial, like, what, you know, Peggy alpha that Justin is talking about for the end of the month, and really says, like, how do we make Peggy a native, and Ethereum and the Ethereum trade route a big part of Cosmos, build a revenue stream on top of it. And, you know, this also allows Althea to kind of go back and focus on their core business after having produced these wonderful set of ideas of making, you know, decentralized ISPs available to the world, because that's very important too, and allows for an entity to exist that really is mission driven for this purpose.
So are you saying stop the forks?
I say I would say that, like, designing your incentive structure to appeal to raising SAFs against institutional investors is probably less interesting to me than designing an incentive structure that can raise some money, but is really oriented toward making sure that, like, the core contributors are incentive aligned and have skin in the game.
And how can folks sort of connect with the Peggy JV? Do they just reach out to you and say, hey, we'd like to join this, you know, and participate in this?
Yeah, so, you know, what we've been doing is, you know, again, so so, you know, just to take the intellectual history of this idea. So, you know, back in February, I would say I first started thinking about this kind of stuff as a way of driving Cosmos development. And then while Stargate was going on, I sort of, we've been having a number of conversations among community stakeholders about atom value accrual. And I sort of put a stake in the ground in this idea that's up on GitHub called Atom 2021, which is sort of turning the Cosmos Hub into sort of DeFi rocket fuel for the Cosmos ecosystem. And I've been helping and advising Althea on the Peggy work and in general for some time. So all these things were started percolating, and so we've instantiated this idea. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is really create a door for people to participate, but also we don't want to break any securities laws. So we've been crowdfunding through memberships in the UniFi 101 project. And basically, this is all about allowing people to, for a nominal amount of money, come in and be part of it. And that process is still ongoing, but we do want to bring that to a close and really start to focus on this product development and so to the Atom holder community, we're building a product for you. The first product of the UniFi of the Peggy JV is a product for the CosmosHub, and so obviously you'll be kept in the loop. And we'll be making a governance proposal there. But there is a bigger vision, as sort of Justin started to lay it out, and that's sort of like where kind of the membership starts to go. And as we bring in more funding to Peggy JV, we will expand the scope.
Awesome. All right, so wrapping up with some final questions here. We've been cranking away for about 30 minutes now. We hear awesome new projects getting funded. I think Hyung from Bee Harvest just announced that he has received funding for an AMM that he was able to share in UniFi DAO last night. How would Peggy and the Peggy JV team work with an AMM, first time AMM on the CosmosHub? What's the opportunity? How do we partner up?
So, there's a reason why why Atom 2021, which is sort of this overarching thing, I sort of picked out these three ideas. The idea of staking derivatives, the idea of an AMM, and the idea of Peggy running on the hub. And really, because all three of them together are give the CosmosHub some superpowers. And one of them on their own doesn't necessarily do that. Because one of the things that we want to make sure is that any tokens that move over the Peggy JV bridge get created out of staking derivatives, get instantiated from the IBC ecosystem. If the hub starts issuing tokens like through Dogemo's proposal, we want to make sure that there's liquidity for all that. And we've really seen with the enormous volumes that UniFi is doing right now, how much having that kind of piece of shared infrastructure of an automated market maker and going back to like Hayden's original vision with UniFi of it's like there's so many layers of originators of this idea. I probably believe I heard the idea of these automated market makers from Martin Kopelman at like DevCon 0 or DevCon 1 is probably how far. And Martin was always like very interested in all these like sort of novel market and liquidity mechanisms. So heard about that from him. Yeah, so this goes back a long time, but yeah, an AMM on the hub. Like, so what can you do with it? Well, you can exchange atoms for ERC20 tokens. You can exchange staking derivatives. We can create an economy around the CosmosHub in a way that we can sort of scale out what we've been doing already in terms of governance and validator selection.
All right. Now on a quick shout out to my friends over at Secret Network and Privacy. And how would Peggy work, say, with Secret Network? And thanks, James Waugh, for helping us, bring UniFi DAO to life. Any thoughts there?
So my goal with actually, this is what I'm working on today. When I'm not in calls or doing meetings, is to have the deployment of Peggy be automated and easy. So like, it's not like trying to deploy Maker on Ethereum. If you ever tried to deploy Maker or Aragon or any of these big contract systems, these big multi-contract systems, they're not easy. Peggy's going to be easy. If a chain wants to run their, if a Cosmos Zone wants to run their own version of Peggy, it is my hope that they can have it up in a day. Or potentially even less if they have all the validators in one room. And so that being said, the hub is still the best place for Peggy, because the bigger you can make your transaction batches, the less you pay in fees. And also, the hub can hold more funds in its contract than anywhere else. And I think this sort of speaks to the vision of Cosmos and the vision we have with UniFi DAO and the vision we have in a lot of places. Is earlier, Taariq, you said like vampire chain. In the sense that you're like stealing value from another chain. And I think that perspective is bad. That's a perspective of like, so that is a perspective you have if you're sitting here looking at like, oh, what's the total volume in Ethereum, and not asking, how does Ethereum help people? How does Ethereum allow people to do what they want to do? And the answer is that Peggy and Cosmos, through IBC and cooperation, you can send your funds through the hub's version of Peggy, and pay lower fees. And cooperation helps everyone, because the hub can take a cut of that transfer as a fee, and it will still be cheaper than running your own Peggy. And this sort of vision of cooperation providing a better experience for users is what I see us targeting, and all of these different things targeting, because, ultimately, it's not about, how should I put it? It's not about your coin market cap rank. It's about how you actually help real people do real things. And if you don't provide value to someone, if you don't provide some utility, then it's not a vampire chain. Value isn't something that sits around under dragon hordes. It's something that's being used to do something. So, yeah, let's do
That's
something.
awesome.
Let's work together and do something.
You got it. Let's go. Let's go. I love it. Yeah. All right. So let's wrap up with some closing thoughts. Any closing thoughts? Starting Deborah. Closing thoughts.
Yeah, I
before we
think
wrap?
Justin said it really well. I think interoperability and creating like an open marketplace has always been the core of Althea's ethos. And I think, obviously there's a tremendous amount of synergy with our work in Peggy as well. So, yeah.
Awesome.
You want to go, Justin, or should I?
Well, I think I already said my closing thoughts.
That was so good. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm just going to drop the mic and then
I thought you walked off stage. You were like, oh God.
So what I would say is, what I think has been the best part about this experience is, I came up with a different way. I had a novel structure in mind, in terms of doing this, we have a bunch of unconventional ways of bootstrapping this, of getting activity, of building a community. And it's been actually like very exciting and gratifying how well we've all been working together, how much trust there has been between everybody under like velocity. And I don't want to slow down in the slightest bit. The Althea folks don't want to slow down in the slightest bit. Taariq doesn't have a slowdown mode.
Go.
So this is what's working, and I think this is the energy that we're trying to build. Is like, atom holders, people who have been part of the Cosmos ecosystem. We do have a bunch of shared interests and incentives. And we've all known each other and had good personal relationships for many years. And we can build on that foundation of trust to really start figuring out like how to do this in a way that isn't about, that is incentive aligned, but not unnecessarily greedy. Long-term greedy.
And thank you, Zaki. And I'll just tail off with, I want to say congratulations to the Althea team. UP-101 has been funded at target 30,000 atoms. I think we're just shy, like 29,000 and change. So I want to say, is it over 30,000? I'm like, oh my God. And this would not have been possible. It is all community driven. These are all, over 30,000, all community funds. And we did it in less than a week. So I want to say thank you, UniFi DAO community. Special thanks to James Dwa. He helped pull it together. He essentially partnered with me to create the UP model. We have more folks who are looking to make proposals. I think this shows that we want to get it done. So I know the Althea team knows that, right? It's very public. Everybody knows that they put in the cash to bring Peggy to CosmosHub, and I think we're gonna get it done. So thank you all for coming out. Thanks for everybody who showed up on the live stream, and thank you for the UniFi DAO community. Thank you to ICF, AIB, all the Cosmos folks, Danielle, everybody who helped get the word out. You guys are rock stars, and we're looking forward to doing this again. And to the UP-101 members, thank you for your contribution, and we're going to be keeping you updated directly on next steps. So that's it, and thank you all. Bye for now. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye.